is not a religion, it's safe to pick and choose. We can dismantle it and borrow from it what is consistent and healthy for our Orthodox faith and what is worldly and self-worship. But so this theme of self-compassion is something that's very good for us. And there's a quote I was going to borrow from the founder of cognitive behavior therapy, Aaron Beck, said, "All emotion is preceded by perception." Let's think about that. You really can't argue, and it's totally orthodox. It fits our spiritual life. All emotion is preceded by perception. If I'm feeling a certain way, then it's because I'm perceiving something a certain way. And there, that gives us a lot of control over our emotions, even our grief and our loss. Like sometimes, man, like today, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling so stressed or on edge or anxious? My spouse is telling me I'm a little high-strung today or what. Or why am I feeling down or blue today? And then we've got to walk it. We don't get excited with ourselves. We walk it back and we say, well, it's because I'm perceiving something a certain. What is it in my life that I'm perceiving that could be fueling this? And we can almost always find it. Well, I have this perception of this event coming up, or I have a perception of a past conversation that took place with somebody, and I don't think I fully processed it. And then we spend a little time on it, we talk about it, and we adjust our perception so that it's not irrational but rational, and all of a sudden our mood improves. It absolutely works. So all emotion is preceded by perception. So having said that, if I perceive myself as weak, I'm going to feel pretty depressed and lousy. If I perceive myself as shameful, I'm going to feel depressed. If I perceive myself as an ungrateful, horrible person because all these years I haven't gotten over my grief, I'm going to feel terrible. Then it starts this self-perpetuating loop or cycle that we get stuck in. So as part of our Orthodox Christian spiritual life and embracing insight and self-awareness, always know our perceptions. All emotion is preceded by perception. And often our perceptions are irrational or they're not founded on evidence, and we challenge them. Or sometimes we go through life feeling like a failure. Maybe someone close to us passed away and we felt like we could have done better. Maybe I could have been a better spouse. Maybe I could have been a better mother or father or brother or sister or grandchild or whatever it might be, or son or daughter. And so we carry this perception that somehow we failed in that relationship. Well, that we're going to stay depressed. That's not an accurate perception. You see, and often in the wake of grief and in the shadow of grief, we often judge ourselves too harshly. And always remember, it takes two to have a relationship. And sometimes when people pass away, we tend to look back on that relationship through rose-colored lenses. We only, the positive, and that's good, not a bad thing. But if there were any imperfections in the relationship, we often take the blame on ourselves then. And we carry unnecessary guilt in our grief process. And so those are all perceptions that have to be challenged, and they have to be brought to the light. And so, there's been two of the epistle readings in the church the past month. I think the one from St. Paul got repeated, and it was about bringing things to the light so that it can be seen and turned into light. So that which is revealed gets turned into light, and that's what this is all about. So when we seal things off in ourselves, maybe it's grief, maybe it's depression, maybe it's anxiety or pain, secrets even, they will stay darkness, and we will feel dark. But if we follow what St. Paul said, and we reveal them, we actually turn these painful and shameful things in our life into light. We have to bring them to the light. And maybe that's by talking with another person, someone in our own home, our priest. Maybe it's confession, maybe it's outside of confession. Maybe it's a counselor. As C.S. Lewis said, that which remains undisclosed is that which has the most power over us, right? And so all this to say, it's safe and okay to dive in to our inner world and to go deep to create resolution so we can walk with a spring to our step and be joyful and lighthearted and rejoice and be more grateful. And we love more fully and we receive love more fully. You see, we're not as angry. We're not bitter. You see, and so, life, as we go through our life in this world, the way this world acts on us, it causes our heart to contract And that's one of the great temptations for all of us, that we develop a hardened heart. And that's really hard to not have happen. Whereas the older we get, the more bitter we become, the more irritable we become. Our heart contracts, becomes harder